You're an alcoholic. What a degenerate. What are you doing in Pattaya? Can't you find a real woman? Oh look, another sex pat. You pedophile. So there's a huge stigma around Pattaya and around the people in Pattaya and the types of people that like to visit or live here. And that's mostly because there is a ton of red light district activity, and there are plenty of people visiting Pattaya for sex tourism and stuff like that, nightlife. But that's not all it is. However, it's quite easy to get grouped into this bunch, and I notice a lot of just like online discussion and comments from people that seem to group everybody into one type of Pattaya person. People go even as far as to consider there to be a ton of pedophiles here, and while I do think that there for sure are, especially in a place where there is red light district activity, but obviously that's not every person who comes here. Just from a ton of talk on Reddit and comments that I get on my channel, just things I read online, right? About people either recommending against living here, against traveling here, or just saying it's only Russians there who are escaping the military, it's only criminals there, stuff like that, which I haven't found to be the case. Of course, in everything people say like that, there is a sliver of truth that it comes from, but it's very not black and white, and there are a lot of cool people that I meet here, and interesting people in general. And I think it can fit a bunch of different types of lifestyles, from somebody who likes to go out every night drinking, from somebody who doesn't participate in any like adult nightlife activity, to somebody who does, to somebody who just wants to retire near the beach, to somebody who's just on a huge budget, and wants to live by the beach or be close to Bangkok. Those are all reasons to live here, and there may be or may not be any intersect with any of the other reasons. So I found there to be a ton of different types of people here in every age range. Usually I'm on the younger end, but you'll find a little of everything. But I do think that there is, has become more and more stigma built around living here specifically, even like versus Bangkok, for example. And I think there's even less if you go somewhere like Chiang Mai. You go even further north, you go wherever, you go to Chiang Rai, you go to Pai, I think there's even less stigma of like, oh, this person is probably a sex pat. This person is just in Thailand to meet young Thai women, or whatever their thought is. That is much less in other provinces. Pattaya being the most highly judged, and then Bangkok would be second, for sure. This just comes to my mind a lot because it's a recurring thing I see with comments and discussion online. So I wanted to make a video just about judgment on the idea of living here, or the idea that only one type of party person lives here. I don't even drink alcohol, yet I still love it here. And it fits me for my budget to still have a nice lifestyle. There are drawbacks to it, of course, the social scene here for me maybe is not as strong because I don't drink, and I'm not an older gentleman. I think a lot of the people here are older than me, and so when it comes to regular hanging out and going out with friends and stuff like that, I'm doing that less in Pattaya than I do in Bangkok, for example. And so for me, that's one of the drawbacks. It's one of the reasons I would live in Bangkok instead. would be a stronger social scene, and for me, actually a stronger nightlife. You know, I don't really like to go out and party too much in Pattaya. I will do it here and there, but like not very frequently. And in Bangkok, there's more of a draw for me. Just a little bit more interesting for me. Like in Bangkok, I think there's more culture going on in regards to arts and music, nightlife in general. And it's a bit less about like the working women and the red light activity. That's of course in Bangkok as well, but more isolated, I feel like, than in Pattaya. But for me, I live in Jomtien, which is just outside of Pattaya. It's basically still Pattaya, but it's not, you know. Maybe because I'm in Jomtien, there's mostly families in the condo building I'm staying, you know, hundreds and hundreds of units, and I'd say a good portion of them are families. Yeah, a lot of Russian families with kids, some other Europeans like Australians, British, and some random like single guys as well, but it's less common, you know. I think as you go more towards the center, you will find more of the heavier party types. But yeah, I want to hear your opinions on, you know, how do you feel about Pattaya, people living in Pattaya, and if you're one of those people who spend time here or live here, what type of judgment or comments have you heard from people, or do you regularly get for it? You know, even when somebody asks me about the area, a friend or family member, I have a hard time not kind of first telling them like, well, it's a little bit of a wild place, but you know, can be contained as well. And I will kind of show them both sides of it online, you know. I think there is an interesting balance to a place that has such intense nightlife and red light district activity, yeah, with family life going on right beside it or in it as well. So it's the first place where I've really seen it like that, where it just seems ingrained into the culture and society here quite naturally, you know. It doesn't seem to interfere. And now I'm not saying there's not a lot of issues with maybe trafficking and things like that. Of course that stuff goes on. It's not all perfect, but in general, with the tourists and with the people who live here and you know, with the bar owners and the women, I think there is some sense of balance that seems to work really well, you know, for any type of person. So I think that's why it's pretty popular here. That and the fact that it's quite cheap, it makes it attractive to people, you know. You can live right next to the beach, or you can stay by the beach for 1 week without breaking your bank necessarily. A lot of people don't want to come and stay in Bangkok. They don't, you know, maybe they're coming from China or another major city. They don't really want to come to a big city, maybe for 1 or 2 days. But I think the easiest option is to, yeah, come spend a day or two in Bangkok and then take a taxi, come to Pattaya, you know. You could also just as easily take a flight to Phuket or something like that, but the fact that it's drivable, and you still stay within a drive from Bangkok, there's something nice about that to me. So yeah, I think it's a great place. I don't think there's so much grounds for all the judgment that it gets, and only after you spend more and more time here do you really see all sides of it, and so you do see the seediness, especially if you're partaking in it. I'd say when I used to come here, my first times coming here, and I was more so, yeah, going out on Walking Street and going out on these places, I think you are exposed a little more to, oh, there are some seedy characters coming through here. Sure. But I think in a general day-to-day, you know, it's like a normal society for the most part. Now you can distance yourself even further and go deeper into Jomtien, or go even outside of any of these kind of tourist areas, and you know, you're well away from any of it. Then it's just really normal Thai life, kind of more like a city life, you know, with still a decent access to the beach. I am going to walk down to the beach right now. Just a short walk left. Looks like the sun is setting nicely, so should get a pretty nice sunset here. See, now this is something that Pattaya has besides just the nightlife, right? Is you actually do have a solid beach with a huge beach walk, and the accommodations are typically super close to it. So even though it's not the most beautiful beach, maybe it's not as nice as Phuket, Krabi, the islands, it's a good alternative which still has a city feel and is basically still a city. So I think that that is one of the biggest draws for people coming, is being very close access to the beach and not breaking the bank for it. I had even considered Phuket as an alternative, Krabi as well, and just looking at accommodations, the availability of like actual vacation rentals, Airbnb, for the price is exponentially more expensive, you know, so it wasn't even an option for me. As much as I want to actually get out of my bubble, because I do always stay in Pattaya. I'm sure it's like I live here, but I'm renting short-term accommodations, so I can move around pretty freely. I would like to get to Phuket. I would like to get to Krabi. But it bothers me that a big part of that reason is just to break the judgment sometimes, or the stigma of telling people that I'm always staying in Pattaya. I don't truly care at the end of the day. But there is something annoying about, you know, having the majority of people judge you just when you first tell them where you stay, where you live, where you spend time in Thailand, you know. But there are a lot of places here, you know, and there's a lot of options, and especially if the budget is not like a concern, you know, maybe somewhere like Phuket has everything Pattaya has and more, with nicer beaches, for example, just a little bit more money, but still I think it's a different vibe there. I think I've watched videos relentlessly, of course, you know, to me Krabi looks very quiet, very chill, so maybe I could do that for a little while. Phuket looks like a nice middle ground where I could probably enjoy it as well. I'm not sure. I like the setup here, and it's comfortable here. But it would be nice to have maybe nicer beaches, you know, maybe see something new as well. Yeah, it would be cool. So for sure on my list is Phuket, Krabi, these lesser sexpat areas, you know, these lesser, not so seedy areas. But that's not the reason I want to check them out. It's just because yeah, they look nice. It's something new, and yeah, be cool to see a little bit more of Thailand. But because I base so much of my time here, you know, I get labeled a little bit, and you will, especially if you're a white male, single white male. You know, I think traveling in Thailand at all, even in Bangkok, it's like, no matter the age, people will immediately wonder your intentions and like think, oh, is this guy looking for a Thai wife? You know, is this guy just getting a bunch of prostitutes? People will make all sorts of immediate conclusions. You know, they wouldn't assume, I think, on first glance, oh, this guy doesn't drink and he's pretty health focused. No, usually not. It's just not where people's brains go to. So, because you can't always judge a book by its cover, or, you know, the city they're living in, or if they have tattoos, or anything like that, you know, their ethnicity. because it doesn't always match up. Yeah, nice sunset out here. A lot of people. Nice day in Jomtien. Let's go down here for a moment, step onto the beach. Good amount of people out here. It is peak high season and it's been quite busy all along Jomtien. Pretty much every day. It's a weekday as well, you know, Wednesday. Nice sunset. Yeah, not too packed, but plenty of people down here. It's nice. Definitely a nice time over here. I had left Bali during the peak hitting the wet season, and you know, the weather was still good, but it is nice to be back here. The weather is better. It's a bit cooler and there's more sunlight, so it's a plus. Look at all these pedos out here. Absolutely disgusting. Oh man, this place sickens me. In all seriousness, I think people of Pattaya come in every shape and size and type of person. Yeah, there's no real way to pinpoint a specific type of tourist or expat living here. I'm sure it changes up for sure as you move from Pattaya City to Jomtien and as you go more outside of the tourist areas, but in general, just feels like a regular city by the beach. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't put it outside of your realm of visiting. No matter what type of person you are, you might enjoy it. You might hate it as well, but try it. See what you think. I wouldn't trust everything you hear online about what it is, maybe. You know, you get some of this as well. That's another side of Pattaya altogether right there. Healthy living, staying mobile, you know. Hey, I'm all for it. I'm gonna enjoy the sunset out here, and you have a nice day, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.